Hey all, earlier this year, I remade the best team for Hoenn and the alternate starters. Today, I figured it was time I put a compilation together of all three teams. So we got Swampert, Blaziken, and Sceptile all together in one big video. If you're playing through ORAS right now, hopefully this video hit you at the right time. I will leave timestamps of each team in the description below if you are looking for a specific one. The Feraligatr team for Legend ZA, by the way, will be ready sometime this week. Until then though, I'll see you guys soon. If you're looking for the team and wanted to skip out on the long intro, you can go to this timestamp, which will also be in the description. I have a lot to say here, so I don't blame you. Wow. I cannot believe it's been almost 10 years since the best team for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on Mystic Umbreon. I had always contemplated on remastering this one because I was relatively confident in how it turned out. However, after further analysis with a buddy of mine, and of course you fine viewers from the comment section, we felt there were definitely some things that could be polished up on it. TLDR though, the best team is my subjective opinion of what I consider to be the 6 best Pokemon for all the important battles, such as Rivals, Gym Leaders, Elite Four, Evil Team Leaders, and of course, the Champion. I'll be providing the locations of where to find these mons, a summary of what said mon is meant to do for the team, movesets, items to use, and abilities if applicable. First though, I have a couple ground rules I want to cover. Trade evolutions are unfortunately not going to be included, because not everyone has access to trade, and post-game mons are off the table as I am only counting the main story. gem users will be factored in, but once we get all 6 members is when that potentially changes. However, legendaries will be included, and the reasoning for that is simply due to the fact they are a part of the game. The game gives you access to them. They count in creating the best possible team. One last thing, I streamed all of my gameplay for this best team video, so if you want to be a part of that, be on the lookout. If you do not like streams, I'll be uploading an entire condensed version of all the gameplay included in this video to Mist Magius if you want to hear my commentary as I battle. That video is up right now. I think that pretty much sums it up though. With that said, I also have a buddy here collaborating with me on this project. You can say hi now.
Hi now, Reference Getter here, ready to assist Mystic with this team because he really needed a tiebreaker with one of the team members and other niche researching needs, so the proper best team could take flight. As for me, just a game reviewer who covers Pokemon games sometimes. That's all you gotta know, so let's just get into things.
Nearly 10 years later, and I still stand on Swampert being the best starter for ORAS. It's pretty simple to explain. The Swampert line pretty much eliminates the early game, no questions asked. Its water ground typing only has one weakness. That means it walls everything practically. Even going into the mid to late game, it still has its usage, given its stats and massive mega. We will also be capitalizing on that, by the way. If you would like to find out why I didn't choose Blaziken or Sceptile, there will be a separate video going up explaining why, as well as explaining other mons I didn't use. For the moveset on Swampert, it's pretty self-explanatory. Waterfall, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Rain Dance. Waterfall you get after defeating Wallace, Earthquake you get from the Seafloor Cavern, Rock Slide can be learned at level 28, and Rain Dance can be found as a TM in the Sea Mauville. As far as items go, the Soft Sand is a really good early game item that boosts ground type attacks. That can be found on Slateport's Beach from a tuber. After that, obviously, you're going to use Swampert's Megastone, which is given to you by Steven as you approach the 4-tree gym.
Alright, so I'll just do Mystic a favor here and just take the fall for him, as I know people, myself included, will be tilted at the sight of our next mon since it just keeps showing up on these teams. Of course, being Gardevoir. While you have cute pitchforks shouting for Team Alakazam, thankfully it's out of the discussion entirely as a trade evolution. As for Gardevoir, this thing ends up being a powerhouse across ORAS thanks to that despicable fairy typing and its generally overwhelming offense. It's a mon, despite its limited early game performance, it'll be one that truly is able to snowball late game, especially once the Mega and its strong coverage moves enter the picture, truly being a mon that can earn its place on the team. You can find it on Route 102. Looking into Gardevoir's moveset, we have Moonblast, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast in its arsenal. Moonblast is gotten from the move reminder after fully evolving. Two very easy heart scales to get can be found on routes 109 and 118, with the former being in the top right corner above the man in his Zigzagoon, where the latter is on a rock to the west side by Mauville, both hidden. Psychic is gotten at level 31, Shadow Ball is a TM found inside Mount Pyre, and lastly, Focus Blast is a TM buyable in Lily Cove's department store. As far as items are concerned, the Odd Incense will hold you over through the early game, buyable in the Slateport Shopping Center, whereas late game, the Gardevoirite will fix any issues you have with its stat line, which is gotten in Verdant Turf Town from Wanda after dealing with the primals in the story. The ability on Gardevoir doesn't really matter too much, although Trace is the preference, since its use cases are much greater than what Synchronize or Telepathy can provide. Overall, this kit leaves Gardevoir with a powerful showing, where it gets to solo so much content between the many Magma and Aqua Grunts, and its ability to simply mow down any shreds of resistance Raleigh, Sydney, and Drake think they have.
Next on the team is going to surprise a chunk of you probably, as we have another water type. I know this sounds silly at first, but hear me out. Gyarados. Magikarp can be found immediately after getting the old rod from the fisherman on Dewford. From there, the journey to Gyarados begins. Why Gyarados? Well, it's simple really. Intimidate, and it's mega gaining access to the dark type. I think the last dark type I chose was an absolute mistake. Magikarp can be a pain to level up when you get it, but when I show you the gameplay this destructive behemoth can do, it may change your mind. For the moveset, we have Waterfall, Crunch, Ice Fang, and Dragon Dance. Waterfall I've already mentioned prior where to get. Crunch can be learned at level 41, Ice Fang level 32, and Dragon Dance at level 47. Gyarados getting Intimidate is a big factor, as it completely walls a few battles such as the Norman fight. That stab Crunch for Psychics and Ghosts is where it really led me to choosing it though. The item I recommend prior to Gyarados' Megastone are the Black Glasses, which can be found on a side entrance of Rust Turf Tunnel, and its Megastone can be found on Route 23 after some ledge hopping.
At the halfway point, we now reach a debate that has been going on since the original best team for ORAS. A simple question of Breloom or Hariyama. Both are Pokemon that only had one simple role, which is to defeat Norman, where ultimately we're choosing Hariyama, although you're not definitively wrong or anything for choosing Breloom. Honestly, both work here pretty well in the slot, but for our demands, Hariyama does edge out Breloom solely through its consistency. Mystic already referenced the video that'll go more in detail on why certain mons didn't make the cut, but here, Hariyama's bulk is much preferred, something that's even more notable with its preferred ability of Thick Fat, where sadly Sheer Force isn't that useful with our set. And Guts pre-statusing aside, isn't helping it blow through many more threats or keeping its longevity intact. Both mons are here specifically for Norman, and outside of him, they only really provide help with one extra battle, in this case, a more consistent Glacia matchup, whereas Wallace will be fine as is. There's multiple other small reasons why, but ultimately this is why we're going to Granite Cave for our fighting type. For the moveset Hariyama will be making a complete mockery of the game with, we have Close Combat / Brick Break, really depending on preference, alongside Rock Smash, Strength, and Surf.
You serious?
This is a joke, right? You have HM moves and that's really it. Well, that's another reason why we're using Hariyama. It only needs its fighting move with anything else as surplus. Surplus that it really doesn't need. It's an HM employee that you actually want to keep on the team, and while we do have some temporary HM shenanigans, we'll come back to the unpaid HM intern later. As for now, your convenience is completely covered with potential move deleter assistance before the Pokemon League if you really need the move slots. Just do yourself a favor and drip feed the attacks to Hari as you need them, so it has actual just-in-case tools like Fake Out or Knock Off until they're no longer needed. The choice between Close Combat and Brick Break is really just based on whether you want Hari to solo through everything with bothersome switching mixed in to remove stat drops, or the ability to remove light screen so our next team member can go 1-4 against Glacia, alongside more PP to be used throughout the E4 run. Close Combat is gotten at 52, and Brick Break is a TM in Pseudopolis, whereas its other move slots are gotten with story progression, with Rock Smash given before Watson, Strength after traveling through Fiery Path, and Surf after Norman. Prior to that, just use the level up moves like the two mentioned earlier, alongside Low Sweep, which can be bought in Marvel's Pokemart as your main source of damage, until you get late game enough to get decent fighting moves. Although just in case Norman is too difficult, we actually have a crazy cheat code that we discovered that could be very useful for this fight, as you could always use DexNav in order to find a Detect Makuhita, just to remove 100% of the battle's risks since the slackings will never be able to function. But ignoring the pain of DexNaving in a cave, and the fact that you can win without, it's more just a fun fact if anything. Lastly, Hari's item, which will be the Expert Belt, which can easily be picked up after the first Trick House run, simply requiring a cut user.
Going into the penultimate Pokemon on the team, we have Manectric's replacement being Magnezone. Manectric just wound up being too frail. Magnezone is carried by its stellar typing and stat line, striking a good line of defensive and offensive prowess. Magnemite can be found on Route 110 via hoarding. To activate hoarding more frequently though, you can capture an Oddish on the same exact route with Sweet Scent. We will also be teaching this Oddish cut so we can go through the Trick House and score the Expert Belt for the Hari line. Magnemite will be underleveled at first, but with Gen 6's experience share, it should catch up in due time. And you're not going to really need the Magnezone line for a bit anyways. Magnezone's moveset is going to consist of Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, Volt Switch, and Thunder Wave. Thunderbolt can be obtained after helping Watson with the new Mauville fiasco. Note that in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the primal events need to be completed first, as it's not like Ruby Sapphire and Emerald where you can get it after defeating Norman. Flash Cannon is learned at level 33 as a Magneton, Volt Switch is earned after defeating Watson, and this will pretty much be your primary attack for a good chunk of the game until Magnezone learns Discharge. If you keep switch battling and you defeat your opponent, Magna can just keep coming in over and over again, so Volt Switch's switch penalty never does affect you. Last is Thunder Wave, and that is learned at level 13 as a great utility option. Flash is also something you can teach Magnezone, mainly for Victory Road if you need it over Volt Switch. You can obtain the TM for that from a hiker in Granite Cave. For items, Eviolite Magneton is a very solid option until it evolves. The Eviolite can be found on Route 123. After Magneton evolves, you can give it the Rocky Helmet as an option. You get that in the Weather Institute.
Now, before we get into the last team member, let's discuss our unpaid HM interns. As for a majority of the run, your 6th team member really just does not exist, so you've got plenty of uptime for a dedicated HM user. For Mystic's run, he used a Linoon for cut, but realistically the Oddish from Sweet Scenting earlier can work well, before you end up replacing it with the free Latios or Latios, who can cover your need to dive, cut, and fly, without needing to be benched until the big 6 comes into the picture, where Hariyama takes you at least through the endgame.
One last thing me and Reference discussed was a temporary team member, and the reasoning for that is the Cycling Road rival battle with Grovyle. It's the idea of needing to battle everything just so Magnemite and hopefully Gyarados can push through the Grovyle. I barely managed to grind Magikarp up to level 20 during that time, and that was because I forced literally every battle I could. If Gyarados isn't ready by the time you get the Cycling Road rival, more than likely you could lose. To mitigate this, me and Reference came to the conclusion of either getting a temporary Tailo or a potential Beautifly or Dustox specifically just for that fight. After that fight, you can box the flyer and proceed to just use Gyarados. We also figured this out after I recorded all of the gameplay too. As for the last members of our team, we have a very flexible 6 slot as our team of 5 already deals with everything it needs to do. However, I did mention in the intro that all Pokemon present in the game are allowed on the team. So we wound up choosing Primal Kyogre or Groudon depending on which game you're playing. If you're playing Alpha Sapphire, congrats! You have the ultimate rain team. And Kyogre makes it very easy for Mega Swampert to decimate should you not equip the blue orb onto it. However, just with the blue orb alone, it can pretty much solo everything. For moves, Kyogre is using Origin Pulse, Thunder, Ice Beam, and Earthquake. Honestly, the 4th move doesn't matter. Origin Pulse and Ice Beam are there when Kyogre is caught, Earthquake's location we talked about already, and Thunder can be obtained from the Lily Cove department store with the potential tech to teach to Magnezone as well if the blue orb is unequipped.
Moving on to Primal Groudon, it completely decimates everything in sight the same way Kyogre does. In fact, it could be considered that it's arguably better, whereas for typing coverage reasons, I would definitely say so. Whereas Kyogre could function as 2 Mons in one from simply removing the orb, Groudon is just one busted primal blob with its red orb that you're keeping glued to it, as its stats are frankly absurd, and its Desolate Land ability removes one of its 2 traditional weaknesses, where the other one is simply irrelevant under its titanic bulk. With the moveset of Precipice Blades, Flamethrower, Solar Beam, and Dragon Claw, the Elite Four Run and even Wallace will be at their knees. Precipice Blades is on Groudon when caught, the Flamethrower TM can be snagged in Victory Road, the Solar Beam TM is in the Safari Zone, needing both Surf and the Mach Bite that you totally grabbed, and lastly, the Dragon Claw TM is banished to the Meteor Falls Bagon room. Regardless if it's Groudon or Kyogre, what you have is an obscenely overtuned stat ball, which doesn't even need good type matchups because its matchups are already so good.
And that's that. The best team for ORAS remastered. I want to go ahead and also apologize for the gameplay because the text boxes block off a chunk and it's pretty distracting. I just got back in the streaming and such and I underestimated how it would look. Anywho, what'd you guys think of the team? Did you like it? Would you choose any other members? Tomorrow, a video will be going up of the potential mons that could have made the team, but sadly couldn't due to certain circumstances. So who knows? Maybe your favorite mon will be there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below though. Also, I wanted to thank Reference once again for joining me in this video. Sometime in the near future, him and I are going to be collaborating on a pretty special project together, so you should go subscribe to him so you don't miss that. I will leave his information in the description below. A month ago, I did a remastered version of our best team for ORAS, where I showcased a team built around using Swampert as your starter option. Also, some years ago, I did a team built around Blaziken for ORAS. And while it was okay at the time, obviously with more years of experience, I figured out that the team needed some work, and I'm a lot more confident in the team I built today. So today, I'll show you guys what you'll need to do to build the perfect best team for Blaziken in ORAS, even covering where you'll get your best movesets and items for these Pokemon as you continue your journey. By the end, you'll know exactly what will make your Blaziken shine in these games. Okay, obviously, we're gonna need to grab our starter from Birch, who's currently being attacked by a Walpuchiana, but we'll go save him with Torchic. Torchic will have a lot of pretty strong matchups, especially once it's evolved into Combusken in Blaziken, and thankfully, most of its best moves will come within the first half of your journey. Your Blaziken will eventually have Swords Dance and Low Sweep through TMs in Lavaridge and Mauville respectively. While we're waiting for Low Sweep, you'll at least have Rock Tomb as an option offensively, which you thankfully get from beating Roxanne. For your Fire-type move, you'll probably aim for Blaze Kick, as it's an evolution move for Blaziken at level 36. But once you get access to the move relearner, you can use a Heart Scale to teach it Fire Punch, which will give you a 100% accurate Fire-type move with no drawbacks. As for your last move, Earthquake is probably your best bet, but you won't gain access to it until Seafloor Cavern. Blaziken's best matchups will be against gym leaders, such as the 2 Still types Watson has, as well as Norman's gym, while also being powerful in the Sydney, Glacia, and Steven in the Elite Four. The big benefit to using Blaziken though, will be once you gain access to Mega Evolution, as you'll want to get your Blazikenite on Blaziken ASAP. You'll obtain it on Route 120 playing the story anyway, and Mega Blaziken will add on both the ability Speed Boost and also some much needed offensive stats to make your Blaziken go from powerful to truly legendary. Mega Blaziken is easily one of the strongest Mega Evolutions this game has to offer, and the fact it's not even a hard Pokemon to obtain speaks volumes to how strong of a choice this will be for you, as anything not a resistance will probably get beaten by your starter. Blaziken's going to need some powerful partner options though, and one of the first will be a pretty strong option to cover plenty of targets that you can't handle already. And I know that my comment section is going to absolutely love this one. Hey guys, guess what? It's Gardevoir. What the f can do? Yep. Sorry, it's just that good. With its newly added fairy typing, you'll have a Pokemon with one of the best typings in the entire game, without a doubt. When you evolve Ralts, you'll want to make sure to take advantage of the TMs for Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt, which you'll get pretty late into your journey. Shadow Ball will be located at Mount Pyre. Meanwhile, Thunderbolt will be an option you can get from Watson after you handle the Primal Legendaries. Thankfully though, you'll have access to the move Psychic through leveling up your now Gardevoir at level 31, which will give you a very powerful stab move for free. For your Fairy Stab, you can either go for Route 123 to get Dazzling Gleam, or if you want a more powerful option, you can go grab a Heart Scale for it to get Moonblast, which will both be a stronger option damage-wise, and it even has the chance to lower your opponent's special attack by 1 stage. Gardevoir's best item will definitely be the Guardiite after the Primal Encounter, which you can go back to Verdunter for. Until you get your Mega Slot, I would use the Odd Incense, which can be found in one of Slateport's shops. It helps benefit your primary Psychic typing for a good portion of the game. It sucks that you can't get Hyper Voice until post-game, but it is what it is. That said though, Gardevoir with this moveset is really powerful. You guys have seen it multiple times, I don't really need to explain. Once you get the Old Rod, you'll catch your third encounter in Dewford Town. This will be your water type, Magikarp. And I'm bringing it back from the ORAS remastered team because it's just that good. Gyarados is one of the best Pokemon in the history of Nuzlocking. By this portion of the game, getting access to a Gyarados should be relatively easy with your experience share, until it gets to level 20. Gyarados is that monstrous option due to its ability Intimidate, allowing it to drop the opponent's physical offense, making it great to pivot around any potentially bad matchups. Thankfully, Gyarados gets most of its moves rather easily, unlike our other partners, as most of its moveset, being Aqua Tail, Crunch, and Dragon Dance, are all through level up. You can always replace Aqua Tail with Waterfall once you beat Wallace, which you'll get without any issues by just playing the game. As for your fourth move, you can get Bulldoze from Mauville's Pokemart, and then after, you can wait until you get Earthquake, which of course you'll get from Seafloor Cavern. Gyarados is a very strong option across the board. Even if you don't have Stab Water for Flannery, it helps out drastically. Also going into Norman with Intimidate, as we saw in the last ORAS best team, yeah, it did really well, especially being able to block out his slacking with the Intimidate ability. Not to mention Tate and Liza, Team Magma if you're playing Omega Ruby, and Phoebe as well, which Gyarados completely mopped her in the last playthrough. As for your items, the Gyarados side is the main item you're going to want to use, which can be obtained on Route 123. Until then, I would recommend the Soft Sand, which will boost Bulldoze going up against Flannery. After Flannery, you can even go grab the Wave Incense from Slateport to help boost your Stab Aqua Tail. Any of these 3 items will be strong on Gyarados, and I don't think you can really go wrong with any of them. Just use the Gyarados site as your primary one, because Mega Gyarados is peak. While we'll catch this next Pokemon in Dewford's Granite Cave, it won't show its full potential until later on. But we'll want to make sure we have an Aron that'll eventually evolve in the Aggron. Shouts to Corrosive. This is yet another Pokemon that can provide us with the potential for a Mega with the Aggronite, being available in Rust Turf Tunnel by clearing all the rocks. That said though, you can also utilize a Rock Incense from Slateport when buying your other instances anyway. As for moves, Aggron will mostly want Iron Head, Rock Slide, Toxic, and Protect, giving this team a much needed defensive backbone that can still be powerful in the certain situations. With the prospect of Protect, you'll be able to completely wall out Norman's slacking, as if Gyarados isn't already a good enough wall. You'll want to make sure it has the ability Sturdy, as a means to make sure you can take a hit in any bad situations to fire off a last-ditching damaging move, or you could even use it to poison a random enemy. You'll best utilize Aggron into Winona, Tate and Liza, Glacia, and Drake. Being able to have a strong pivot like Aggron should help any team succeed. To finish off your Fire, Water, Grass trio, you should aim to get yourself a Roselia. That said though, you will need to get a Shroomish to beat Roxanne and Cycling Road rivals Marsh Stomp, though Roserade benefits your team as a whole far more. The temporary Shroomish is mainly for Marsh Stomp, but it can be your win con against Roxanne if Torchic has not yet evolved into Combuskin. Anywho, you'll get Shroomish in Petalburg Woods, but for Roselia, you'll need to get access to Route 117, which is, unfortunately, after Cycling Road rival. Roserade's real usage comes into play against Tate and Liza, Wallace, and Team Aqua if you're playing Alpha Sapphire. You can still use it in a few niche occasions, but these battles mentioned will be your best places to take advantage of this powerful grass type. Roserade's best moves will be 1. Giga Drain, which you'll get at level 25 as a Roselia, Roselia, while also using Dazzling Gleam and Shadow Ball, which you'll be getting for Gardevoir anyway. As for its Poison Stab, you'll be utilizing Sludge Bomb, which you can get in Dewford Town after battling Norman from the Pokemon Trend House. As for your best item, the Miracle Seed will be a strong option, which you can get in Petalburg Woods once you've been given access to Cut after beating Brawly. This should help Roserade plenty with making sure it can easily combat anything it'll face in these games, filling in the few roles that you can't currently combat with your first 4 mods. Now, for our final Pokemon, we'll be catching the legendary for your respective games. In either case, we'll be giving the appropriate Primal Orb to either Kyogre or Groudon when we encounter them in Pseudopolis for the battle to end all battles. If you're going to be using Kyogre, while you'll have 2 water types, Gyarados can always take on the more defensive role, being a strong pivots for ground types as your immunity here. So it still won't be a bad idea to stack both of these, especially because there aren't any strong electric or grass types by this point in the game. For Kyogre's moveset, we'll want Origin Pulse and Ice Beam, which Kyogre starts with, while getting TMs for Thunder and Earthquake. Thunder is obtained in Lilikov's department store. Meanwhile, if you're playing Omega Ruby, Groudon will still want to keep Precipice Blades, while getting Flamethrower from Victory Road, Solar Beam from the Safari Zone, which you'll need the Mach Bike for, and Dragon Claw from Meteor Falls. Anywho though, Primal Kyogre and Groudon are going to be phenomenal for taking on the Elite Four. You could honestly solo the rest of the game if you wanted to with your Legendary. But thankfully, you still have 5 more Pokemon on the team in case your opponent sneaks in a lucky KO. Now, before we wrap up this vid, let's discuss our HM employee. As for the majority of the run, your 6th team member does not exist, so you've got plenty of time for a dedicated HM user. For my last run of Hoenn Remastered, I used a Linoon for Cut before being replaced with the free Latios/Latias, who can cover your need to dive, cut, and fly without needing to be benched until the big 6 comes into the picture. After getting the primals, they have Rock Smash for Victory Road, Gara has Waterfall, and Aggron has Surf and Strength. Work around these mons and you shouldn't have any issues. So, that's our revamped best team for ORAS, with Blaziken as our starter. Let me know down below what you think of the team, and if you end up trying it yourselves. I'd especially love to hear how it goes. On your way, also make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with content like this. At some point in the future, I'm also going to be covering Sceptile, so be on the lookout for that. As usual, thank you guys so much for the support on these videos, it really does mean a lot. With that said, I'll see you guys real soon. Since we've already covered Mudkip and Torchic's best revamped ORAS teams, we should probably talk about Trico's best team. We've already established a lot of what makes a good Pokemon in these games, and I think Trico in particular has a lot of interesting partners we can use, some of which we've already utilized, and others that we've yet to consider. So today, let's break down what the best team is if you're using Trico as a starter in ORAS. I'm confident this team will prove to be as powerful as our previous options. And I'm also confident that it'll work for anyone playing these games and truly be the best Trico team possible. Any Trico team will start off, of course, with meeting Professor Birch, where we'll save him from some wild Pokemon with our starter Pokemon Trico. Trico actually has a lot of strong matchups, especially in these games, with a strong matchup against Roxanne, Tayton Liza, Wallace, Drake, and Team Aqua. You'll eventually get the Sceptile Light right before Winona, which is the key to giving you a powerful offensive dragon type. Speaking of, we'll be using this Sceptile as a physical attacker due to the lack of Dragon Pulse access before beating the game. So we'll use Leaf Blade, which we get on Evolution, Dragon Claw, which is a TM in Meteor Falls that you get access to after getting Waterfall and Surf, Swords Dance, which you'll get the TM from an NPC in Lavaridge, and Brick Break, which you'll get as a TM in Pseudopolis. This moveset also gives you a few additional matchups where Sceptile can be a last-ditch option against Sydney, Glacia, and Steven, allowing you to at least perform as well as possible into matchups you'd otherwise be neutral or bad into thanks to Brick Break's additional coverage. Mega Sceptile is a pretty difficult option to outspeed in these games, so you'll have access to one of the fastest mons, and you'll also have a great form of setup to ensure it can beat most enemies in your path. Sceptile, thankfully, despite having bad defensive matchups, can still be a pretty powerful option offensively, at least to handle most matchups in the game, and it's very easy to patch around your weaknesses. Alright guys, guess what? She's back again. Yup. The Guardiite, type combo, psychic, fairy, y'all know the drill. I've done it for the past 2 months now. I just can't stress how good Gardevoir is in these games. I told you guys twice. For moves, we'll still get Psychic from level up, then get TMs for Shadow Ball from Mount Pyre, as well as Thunderbolt from Watson after the Primal episode. As for Fairy Stab, you either got the choice of Moonblast, which is a heart scale move, or Dazzling Gleam, which we can get as a TM on Route 123. While we were waiting to get the Gardevoir right, we can get an odd incense from Slateport. Gardevoir is going to steamroll ORAS as usual. I don't really need to give you guys another breakdown of how this mon works. If you guys have any better mons, leave them in the comment section below and I'll pin them for you. That way we can get some options. Moving on to our third option, we'll be resolving our Steel type problem now by adding on a powerful fighting type. In Granite Cave, we'll be catching ourselves a Makuhita. Hariyama is going to be a powerful fighting type, and unlike options such as Gallade and Medicham, it doesn't require a Mega Evolution to be a powerful contender. Hariyama also, unlike an option like Machamp, doesn't require a Trade Evolution to obtain either. Hariyama is just a powerful wall breaker we can get that'll help with pressuring options like Norman, which is one of the more difficult gyms to defeat, while also pressuring most of the Elite Four, mainly Glacia. For our team, we're going to repeat the process we did in the first remastered best team and go for a thick fat one. I wanted to run Guts, but unfortunately, the Flame Orb and Toxic Orb are unobtainable until post-game. You still can run Guts, but it's much easier when you have an item that automatically procs status. We'll teach Hariyama Close Combat, Knockoff, and Fake Out all learn via level up, while also giving you Low Sweep from Mauville's Pokemart. Brick Break is another option for later, just in case you want to bust Glacia's light screens. Hariyama probably has the easiest moveset to obtain among a lot of viable Pokemon, since even the TMs you can thankfully just buy for rather cheap too, allowing it to quickly just be a powerful option for your team immediately. While we're in Dewford, we'll get the old rod to catch a Magikarp, which will eventually evolve into Gyarados. Similar to Gardevoir, Gyarados is just a powerful contender for practically any team in the entire franchise, but especially this one. Gyarados on this particular team, unlike our Blaziken one, should honestly never really be your Mega, and we'll be using it more to be a bulky water type for this team. We'll still give the same moveset of Dragon Dance and Crunch as permanent moves, while Aqua Tail and Bulldoze will eventually be replaced by Waterfall after beating Wallace, and Earthquake once you get the Seafloor Cavern. In this case though, we should probably give Gyarados an item like the Wave Incense or Leftovers. The Wave Incense we can get from Slateport, or an option like the Citrus Berry that we can just get across the region. Gyarados will be a powerful fire resist, which helps a lot against Flannery, and it's also a ground type immunity, which will be important for our next two Pokemon on the team. While you can eventually replace Gyarados with Primal Kyogre if you're playing Alpha Sapphire, I think in this particular case, due to the amount of ground weaknesses we're about to pick up, it might not be the smartest choice. Though, if you decide to add it onto the team, I would teach it Origin Pulse and Ice Beam, which Kyogre starts with, while getting TMs for Thunder and Earthquake, with Earthquake already being needed for a couple of other mods, and Thunder being obtained in Lilycove's department store. We should next look into our electric type on this team, which will be Magnemite. In the remakes, we can actually get Magnemite in Horde encounters on Route 110, and it'll be a very important option for Winona, Titaniza, and Wallace. In this particular case, we'll need to evolve this into a Magnezone so it can be a very bulky pivot for us, and then teach it Flash Cannon from level up, while also giving it TMs for Volt Switch after beating Watson, and Thunderbolt, which we are getting after the Primal episode from Watson for Gardevoir anyway. For our fourth move options, we have Hidden Power if you get a good typing like Fire, Water, Grass, or Ice. If it's a bad typing, we can just teach it Toxic instead. If you go with Hidden Power, we'll get it from Fortree City, and if it's Toxic, we'll get it on the ground in Fiery Path. Both moves have a lot of advantages, but it just depends on your preference and the typing for your Magnezone's Hidden Power if this is even an option you should be considering. Either way, we'll have Gyarados as a strong ground immunity and fighting resistance, while Magnezone Stone can handle any opposing water types you'd struggle to break. The defensive synergy here is going to be phenomenal, but we'll still have one more seemingly unconventional pick for this team. We'll round out the team with a really weird fire type pick by adding on Camerupt. While you can use a Mega Evolution on your Camerupt, I don't think it's the most necessary thing to do here. That said though, I'm not really sure what other items you'd actually need to give Camerupt outside of something like the Charcoal from Lava Ridge. That said, you have to play Omega Ruby if you want to use Mega Camerupt in your playthrough, as the Mega Stone is post-game in Alpha Sapphire. It probably is a better idea to use this team in Omega Ruby anyway though, because Camerupt can be pretty easily replaced by Primal Groudon, and it fills your team perfectly typing wise by doing so, while still giving Gyarados a reason to stay on the team. For your Camerupt's moveset, I would teach it Earth Power, Rock Slide, and Yawn from Level Up, while giving it Flamethrower as a TM from Victory Road if you use Camerupt that far. Lava Plume is also an option if you're getting rid of it eventually for Primal Groudon. Speaking of, if you are going with Primal Groudon, you'll want to keep Precipice Blades while getting TMs for Flamethrower and Dragon Claw, which we've already went over locations for, and Solar Beam from the Safari Zone, which you'll need the Mach Bike for. While base Camerupt will be a cool option to deal with fights like Flannery and Team Magma, you'll be getting a pretty strict upgrade with Primal Groudon. That said though, Camerupt can still at least shine in the Elite Four against Glacia and Steven if you're planning on keeping it. Now, before we wrap up this vid, let's discuss our HM employee. In this particular game, we should actually have some options to teach HMs to, as a lot of our movesets aren't very finished for most of the run. For example, we can easily teach Hariyama Rock Smash and Sceptile Cut, as their movesets take till near the end of the game to actually round out anyway. Meanwhile, we can just throw Surf and Waterfall on Gyarados or Kyogre until we're at the Elite Four, as Earthquake is mostly going to benefit us for Steven's fight anyway, meaning we'll have the fourth move ready. Strength can go on most mons here, but it probably would just fit best on Hariyama, and while this will be a power drop, you can always just go to the move deleter if you need the extra kick to remove strength temporarily. If you want to take advantage of Fly though, you'll always have the gifted Lottie Twin, but thankfully, it's just not necessary due to soaring anyway. So that's our best team with Sceptile and ORAS, and honestly, it looks like it'll be a pretty fun one to use. I'm glad there was a way to fit so many unique picks around Sceptile that both benefit each other quite a bit, while also taking advantage of some of our other stronger Pokemon like Gyarados and Gardevoir that can patch up weaknesses for them defensively and offensively. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also let me know down below what you guys think of the team and if you change anything if you could.